welcome to what is sure to be another special Harcourts Rata & Co auction number 1 at 47 Edmondson Street in LALOR. My name is Robert Ozzimo. I proudly represent the company of Harcourts Rata & Co. I'm joined here today by some of my award-winning colleagues in blue. Should you require their advice, please feel free to approach either Andrew, Michael, and of course Leon Oscaris and Michael Cananzi, who no doubt you've had the great opportunity of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you the following announcements which in place have you been and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that were made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. The contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer, and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 30 to 60 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. A great opportunity for any first home buyer, a great opportunity for any investor or family among us here today in the very heart of LALOR, where we've got absolutely blessed with location, all of the infrastructure that surrounds us, a short distance away from schools, shopping, restaurants, transport, all at our fingertips. Add to that a great home, absolutely nothing to do. Move straight in and start enjoying life at on Edmondson Street. First, we've got to get the sold sticker on the board. So if you'd like to get that part of the job done here today, right now is the opportunity to secure that right. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for one at 47 Edmondson? Who'd like to start us off, buyers? I don't mind the call, I'm in your hands.
520.
At 520,000, a fair start now. Welcome, sir, and best of luck at 20 now. At 520,000.
30.
At 30 now, I'll take the 10 in the same courtesy at 10 if you like, at 30, and welcome here.
40.
At 40 now. At 50. At 550,000. At 5.5 now. At 550 the bid. At 550,000, taking 10 in the rise. 60 it's got to be. At 550, bids here in front against everyone else at 50. At 550,000. At 55, I'll shorten my stride, get you involved. Same courtesy at 5 for you, sir. At 60 now. At 560,000. At 560, the quick retort at 5. At 560,000, make it 65 in the rise. At 560 the bid. At 560,000, once at 560,000, done. At 560 the bid for the second call at 560,000, done. Finished. At $560,000 the bid. At 65, welcome. Best of luck at 65 and 70 again. At 75, at 575 and 80. At 580,000 now. At 580 at 85, sir. At 580,000, I thought that was a nod of the head. At 580,000, bids here at 580. At 580 the bid. At 580,000, once at 580 are we done. At 580,000, second call at 580 the bid. Are we done? Finished. Third, final call. At 585, at 90 now, at 590,000, sir. The bids here, but sold the keys. We're on the market and selling. At 590,000, bids here, keys are here. I'm not going inside. There's no halftime break. We're on the market. We sell at 590. Bids here, keys are here. There's no further bid. We'll sell at that. If you've come to buy, you must show me now. At 95, welcome, best of luck at 600, even money at that. At 600 here, at 600,000, you had those keys just for a second. At 600,000, but they're back here now at 6. At 600 the bid, we're on the market, we sell. We play for keeps here today. At 600,000, got to give me more than one bid, sir. At 600,000, fairly bid and offered. We're on the market, we sell at 6. Once at 600,000, done. Twice at 2.5, at 602.5. At 5 now, at 605, at 605, might take a bigger bid toward the competition off, sir. At 605,000, bids there, opportunity still with you, but the keys are here as it stands. At 605, we're on the market and selling. Are we done over there, sir? Yeah. Thank you for your bidding here today. We're done here. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. Only one left to beat, it seems. At 605, at 605,000, fairly been offered here. Do I have your absolute best here today? Definitely done. Thank you very much for your bidding here today. At 606. At 606,000, never too late to the hammer fours. New bid there, keys are there at 606 on the market and selling. 610. At 610 now, and a great response. At 610 the bid. At 610,000. At 610,000, telling Leon they're going to have to do better than that to beat the competition here today. At 610, keys are back here. At 11 now at 611. At 15 at 615,000. At 615 the bid. At 615,000 fairly been offered at 615. Need instructions there. We're selling at 615,000 at 16. At 616. At 20. At 620,000 still strong bidding. That's how you buy. At 620,000. At 620 the bid for the first call. At 620 all done. Second call at 620 done. Finished. Third, final call at $620,000 the bid. Are we done? Finished. Silent and out at 20. Instructions there, Leon, need to know. At 21. At 5. At 625. At 625, the quick retort again. At 625. At 625,000, they've done enough now. 625, absolutely sure. Take them for their bidding here today. At 625,000, out there, out here, out on the phone. We're definitely done there. At 625, 6 1/4. Once at 625,000, done. Twice at 625, done and finished. Third, final call, $625,000 the bid. All done, all finished. Silent out at 625. We're selling, selling, selling. Sold. Congratulations, well bid, sir. Please join me in congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another